So these benign conditions, fibroadenoma, phylloid tumors, and the duct papilloma. These are three benign conditions. So we already had discussed out of these three, fibroadenoma is the condition which never shows the chance of that malignant conversion, but other two conditions, phylloid tumors and duct papilloma, has very much chance to convert into the malignancy. Okay, so now we just today we discussed the malignant cancers of the breast. So there is a two type of the malignant cancers of the breast has been found. One is the ductal carcinoma and second is the lobular carcinoma. You know, the complete breast system, we already had discussed the anatomy, where we can say that there are the lobules, the glands which secrete the milk during lactations, and there are the tubules or the ducts which carry out these milks through the carry out the milks up to the nipples, and through these ducts these milk come from the duct towards the nipples. So the depends on that area where the carcinoma is developed. It is divided in the two types, that is ductal carcinoma, which occurs in the ducts first. Later on it can spread anywhere, but is starting from the ducts. And second one, which is starting from the lobules, means the glandular system from where the lactation is there. So that's lobular system also may have some chances of that malignancy. So on the basis of this, it is divided on these two types. So next we discuss the etiological factors. As we know that there is no fixed age or any any fixed thing that in which persons that which thing will appear and which thing will not appear. But most of the conditions we see that there is a pattern. So every disease has a pattern. So as we know that the breast malignancy has a pattern, which is which shows that whoever which person is on higher risk and which person is on a lower risk. So according to the age, we can say that the data shows that, means whatever the pattern shows that it is not happens in the young age. Okay, as the age increases, the chance of the malignancy increases. So from 20 to 40 years age, from 20 to 40 years of age females, the chance of developing breast malignancy is only 0.3%. But above 40, from 50 to 70%, there is chance of the 5%. So we can say that the breast malignancy most likely to occur from the age of 50 to 70. Means if a lady or some person, some lady who has the cross the age of 50 years and up to 70 years is in this age group, that women are in little higher risk of developing the breast malignancy than the age of 20 to 40 years. Understand? And from above 70 also there is a very less chance of developing breast malignancy. So we can say that the chance of developing malignancy is that only very high in the age group of 50 to 70 years. Next thing, the genetics. Yes, it is. It had genetic correlations, genetic associations. Few genes have been found which are related with the development of that breast malignancies. These that most commons in the first degree relations and second degree relation. First degree relation means direct relations, either mothers or the sister who had developed the breast malignancy in the age of 50 to 70 age group, so that the person in the first degree relation with that woman has a higher risk of to development of the breast malignancies. So there are two genes has been identified, one called BRCA first and BRCA second. There are two genes. First, BRCA present on 17th number of chromosomes, and the BRCA second is present on the 13th number of the chromosomes. It is found, we have that 23 pairs of the chromosomes. So in that, in the 17th pair of the chromosomes, there is the BRCA1 is found, and BRCA second is found on the 13th number of the chromosomes. So these two hormones, these two genes are usually found in the person of that breast malignancy. So if somebody had these genes, then that person is more on the higher risk of the development of the breast malignancies. Although this BRCA first is responsible for development of both breast as well as the ovarian cancer, but the BRCA second is responsible for the development of the only breast carcinoma, means that it has no relation with the ovarian carcinoma. Understand? This is the kind of that dominant genes which is present on the X chromosomes. That's why if it is it is transferred to generation to the generations. Second is the third is the child bearing and fertility. Means the ladies who are having the childs uh, and who the having single or the nulliparous woman. So the single or the nulliparous women has 1.5% 1.5 times more risk than the childbearing age. Understand? Means the women who are single or who are nulliparous have 1.5 times more risk of the development of that the breast carcinoma, on the which in which above means that even in the childbearing age also, the lady who has the first child, who has the childbearing age from 30 to uh, below 30, means the childbearing age of a lady, if a lady has child below 30 years age, then she has lesser risk than the lady who has the childbearing age from above 35 years. Understand? Means if a lady has a child, means if a lady has a childbearing age after 35 years age, then that lady had more chance or more risk to development of the breast carcinomas. Understand? Second, next is the age of menarche and the age of menarche. So the pattern shows the the girls who has the menarche before 12, are on the lesser risk on that that girls who had the menarche after 12 years, and the girls who have a menarche after 12 years age are 2.5 times more chance of development of that the breast carcinoma in their later life. Similar way, the women's who has the menopause below 45 years age, or the starting from the 45 years age, are in the lesser risk than the ladies who has the menarche, who has the menopause from 45 years age or after 45 years age. these women are have 2 times more risk to develop these breast carcinomas. Next, it shows some geographical distributions, as it is more common in the Western countries. Maybe the lifestyle or some genetic things is there. Means it is more common in the Western countries than in our subcontinent or the Asian countries. The breast carcinoma is very much rare in Japanese communities. So it shows some little geographical distributions. Next thing, the endocrine, that the hormone therapies, if a lady have received the hormone therapy, exogenous hormones, means the hormones outside from the body is provided to any ladies, that has more chance to develop the breast carcinoma. As if a lady is using oral contraceptive pills, or what is the oral contraceptive pills? These oral contraceptive pills are nothing, are these are the hormones. Okay, so if a lady has taking these OCPs more than 8 years, and are more than 80 years, so these ladies has are little higher risk of development of that breast carcinoma. Okay, means that that's why the OCPs are not very good. uh, these should be taken for the little shorter period. It should be avoided for the longer period. If lady is take the OCPs for little longer time, more than 8 years, 5 years, then that lady comes under the risk of the development of that breast carcinoma. Next, the diet. Usually, the diet is has no relations, means on the record. But with this, the pattern shows that the ladies having more fatty diets and more fried diets, are more alcohol consumptions, has are on the more risk. 2 times more risk in the development of that breast carcinoma than the other ladies. Okay, so, and vitamin C shows some protective features, means the lady receiving the vitamin C are have the less chance or the less risk of the development of the breast malignancy. Then benign duct disease is, that that papillomas, duct papillomas, that having more chance of developing these uh, malignancy. We already had discussed them. And one more thing, the weight, body weight. Usually the body weight has no relations up to age of the 50 years age. Means other factors may work, but the body weight is not comes in the play up to up to the age of the 50 years of the age. But after the 50 years, after the 60 years of the age, as the weight is increases, that the risk of the development of the breast carcinoma is also increases. Means up to 40 years age, up to 50 years age, there is no play of the no body weight has no play in the development of the breast carcinoma. But after the 60 years age, if the body weight is high, then that person has little higher risk of the development of that breast carcinoma. So no, so these are some etiological factors which can we can see that these etiological factors are played a important roles in the development of the breast carcinoma. Next, the pathology. You know that out of that the site-wise distribution, there is a 4 quadrants in the breast: upper, outer, upper, middle, medial, or the inner. and lower outer and lower inner. So the 50% of the breast carcinoma is usually found in the upper and outer quadrant. Understand? And the 12%, 12 to 15% in the upper inner quadrant, and 6 to 10% in lower outer, and 3 to 5% in the lower inner quadrant. Understand? Means while the data is important, because while the examinations, if you found a lesion in upper outer quadrant, then you must if you found a lump in upper outer quadrant, then you must uh, then you must have to exclude that conditions from the breast carcinoma, because that person may have most likely to develop the breast carcinoma. That should be the malignancy. Any kind of lump in upper outer quadrant may be the malignancy. That's why you must be very careful while dealing with that condition. You must exclude anyhow that conditions. Sorry. Next thing is the breast carcinomas is a mainly unilateral, but in 1 or 2% cases it may be the bilateral simultaneously. In breast carcinoma can be developed from the epithelial of the duct and the lobule of the glands. We already had discussed the two type of the carcinoma, the ductal carcinoma or the lobular carcinoma. But don't forget, the conditions may be that means both conditions can be present at the same time in the same person in the same breast. Okay, so don't think that if the ductal carcinoma is there, so it cannot be lobular carcinoma. Both carcinomas can be developed in the same person in the same breast at the same time, or sometimes bilateral also. There are two types of the other pathological carcinoma. Pathological classification of the carcinoma is in situ and invasive. In situ and invasive, these are two terms very important to understand. What is the meaning of in situ and invasive? Okay, so the in situ means when a mass, a growth is developed in a fixed, in a very fixed space. You can see in the picture, localized, this DCIS means localized ductal carcinoma in situ. This is the localized and this is the localized lobular carcinoma in situ. This is the other term, ductal carcinoma, invasive carcinoma, and this is the invasive. This is the invasive ductal carcinoma, and this is the invasive lobular carcinoma. Understand? Means in situ means that the area is fixed. Means in situ ductal carcinoma means the carcinoma is present in the ducts and it remain inside the ducts. It never cross the limit of the ducts. Localized, lobular carcinoma in situ. Lobular carcinoma in situ means that carcinoma develop in a lobule and remain inside the lobules. In situ means that remain inside. Invasive means when the mass is growing from area and spread or invade to nearby structure or the nearby organ and spread from that side. That is called invasive. Okay, so this is the ductal invasive carcinoma. This is the starting a duct and it invade to the nearby structure. It grows from our duct towards the outside and growing here and there, means invade nearby structures. Similarly, this is the invasive lobular carcinoma. This is the carcinoma developing in the lobules, starting from the inside lobules and growing outside the lobules and invade the nearby other lobules and nearby the structure, nearby the areas. Means now you understand the means What is the meaning of in situ and invasive? In situ means the carcinoma which develop in that particular place and remain at the same place. Means it never cross the limit of that site. And the invasive, which is never limits, it can invade nearby structure or near any nearby objects. So this is that the two type of the carcinoma, ductal carcinoma and the lobular carcinoma. So out of these two, 85 to 90% of the breast carcinomas are the ductal carcinomas, and only to 15% and 10% carcinoma are the lobular carcinoma. You know, means what the breast carcinoma, the most of the breast carcinoma is are ductal carcinoma, means that develop from the ducts, that lactiferous ducts. Then comes to when come to the ductal carcinoma, there are two type of the carcinoma present in the ducts on the basis of the pathology. One is solid and one is the papillary. Solid means when the mass is growing inside the duct and increasing the size in duct, and then dilation of the duct, and then the central part of the duct, it means that completely block the lumen of the duct, and then with the growing and growing in the central part of the that lesion is become liquefied and the necrosed and filled with that dead cells and the dead tissue, and the surrounding part become very hard and solid. So that's why it's called solid or comedo type ductal carcinoma in situ. Next, that the papillary carcinoma here, in place of that solidifications, these type of the carcinoma has the papillary projections. Means there is the growth, papillomatous growth inside the lumen of the duct, so that the complete duct is never blocked. Instead of being blocked, it just cupriform, just like a sieve, and there is a the projections or the papillary cells, that papillomatous projection inside uh, the duct, instead of being the solid one and completely blocked. So the duct is completely not blocked in papillary. However, in the solid, the duct is completely blocked. So that's why you can see that we already had discussed the most of that secretions from the nipple is, if it is blood or the serous, it is very chance to have the ductal papillary carcinomas. Okay, so next thing, the invasive ductal carcinomas, when the carcinoma is developed in the duct, but it invade nearby structures. It doesn't remain inside the duct. That is the serous carcinomas, medullary carcinomas, tubular carcinomas, mucinous or colloid carcinomas, papillary carcinoma, and adenoid carcinoma. So these are the different type of the carcinomas. Microscopic classifications are there. Means that structure of the cells and the type of the cells of these invasive ductal carcinomas. These are the name is given on the basis of the characteristic of the cells and the characteristic of this particular tissue. That's why the serous carcinomas means the fibrous carcinoma, where the main characteristic feature is the fibrosis. Fibrosis is means more tissue is get fibrosed in serous carcinoma. So this is the microscopic structure, means that classifications of this invasive ductal carcinoma. Next, the lobular carcinomas. It is 15 to 10%, and this is also two types: lobular carcinoma in situ and the invasive lobular carcinoma. We already had discussed what is the meaning of in situ and the carcinoma, that invasive. And the lobular means there the carcinoma develops in the lobules which are present for the lactations. Next thing is the spread of the carcinoma, how the carcinoma is spreads. It has five types of the spreads, the five mode of the spreads. First, the local spreads, intraductal spreads, lymphatic spreads, spread by blood, and intracoelomic spreads. Okay, so that local spread means kind of that when the carcinoma is spread directly by the invasion from a structure to the nearby structures. Intraductal means when carcinoma develop in the ducts and through the lumen of the ducts it is spreading from one part to the other parts. Understand, means one part of the duct to the other part of duct, means suppose duct is there and it is the carcinoma start developing the proximal part, and later on through the lumen of the duct it is spread through the lumen and present at the distal part of the duct. So that is called intraductal spread. The lymphatic spreads means when the carcinoma is spreads through the lymphatics. The carcinomatous cells are get invaded from that area where they are originally present, and through the lymphatic secretions they travel to the lymphatic secretions, and they grow other body parts and then start the blocking the lymphatics, and that lymph nodes they get stuck there, and then later on they spread in the other body parts, mean they spread through the lymphatic systems. It is called lymphatic spreads. Third thing is when it is spread through the bloods. So sometime these carcinomatous cells that by the invasions and through capillaries travel to the blood vessels, enter the blood vessels, and that is spread to the whole body, and then get metastasis in the other organs. So that's why this is called as the spread by the blood. Next in the intracoelomic spreads means when the carcinomatous cells are spread through the cavities, means coelom means the cavity. Suppose carcinoma is in the abdominal cavity in stomach, and then from the stomach the carcinomatous cells are comes out, and to the peritoneal cavity it may affect the other livers or other spleen or the other body organs. Understand? So means that is the spread called the intracoelomic spread, when the that carcinomatous uh, cells are spread through the through a cavities. Sometimes the breast carcinoma enters through the peritoneal cavity and may affect the other body organs. Understand? Means when the carcinoma is spread through these coelomic cavities. So these are the spread. The five types of the spread have been shown by the breast malignancies. So we will discuss the clinical feature in the next lecture.